Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Across the Dinerverse, searching for the heart and soul of America, one diner at a time. How you doing? I'm John Murphy, writer and producer on the TV series Innovation Nation, which airs Saturday mornings on CBS. And now I zip around the country talking to people over grand slamwiches, steak and eggs, and kitchen sink omelets about their lives, their politics, maybe their neighbors, and how they feel about America. The big question is why? Why put up with all the travel and the hassle of that, and the bags and the flights and the hotels and all the work to record the podcast and do it every week in diners from all around the country? Well, because I truly believe that we are more similar than we are different. We all want the same things: love, family, friends, connection, purpose, feeling like we matter, that we belong, and we can be heard. That's why I do it. It is my hope the stories we hear from regular folks enjoying a good burger might open your heart and mind to a better understanding of why they believe in something, or maybe they're experiencing something you're going through right now that can help you get through it. And I'm having a blast hearing everyone's stories too. So, as you may have heard, my goal is to do at least one podcast from a diner in all 50 states. And as a matter of fact, I've got a show from Hawaii coming up in just a few weeks, the 49er on Oahu, that's been in business since 1947. Great story, great owner. So if you'd like to join the journey to achieve this goal, you can do that with a small contribution, just a couple of bucks or more if you want, by visiting my Patreon page at patreon.com/Dinerverse. That's patreon.com/Dinerverse. This week's episode would not have happened without a fantastic tip from one of my dinerites. I just made that word up just now. Dinerites. Maybe it'll stick, maybe it won't. And she lives on Coronado Island near San Diego. Her name is Kelly Jackson. Kelly, thank you so much. Kelly messaged me about a diner that was forced out of business after 60 plus years in a small town called Pine Valley, about 48 miles east of San Diego. But I had to move quick because they were literally going to shut down in just a couple of days. But I reached out to the owner, her name is Debbie, who graciously let me go down there the day before it closed, which was on Saturday, February the 4th. That's just last Saturday. So a huge thank you to Kelly for hooking me up. And feel free to reach out via my Patreon page or on Twitter at Murphy Producer and at The Dinerverse, or on Instagram as Murphy Producer. You can ask me anything, recommend diners, comment on the podcast, or maybe ask me to be a reference on your resume. It all works. Okay, so the diner is called Major's Coffee Shop. And as you're listening, it's no longer. It's gone. It's dead. And we'll find out why, but keep listening because there's a whole lot more to this story. We get deep. We get real. It's emotional. It's a story of loss, perseverance, and healing. This is Death of a Diner, and owner Debbie shares why it's happening.
My landlord, I owe him money from COVID and was paying him little by little, and then he upped my rent and I couldn't pay him anymore. So he gave me a 30-day notice to get out that he was terminating my lease.
After 60 years.
Yeah.
Has Major's been at this exact location for 60 years
Yes.
in this building?
1961, November of 1961.
My
Yes.
gosh. And
so 62 years.
You were closed for a while during COVID?
We were closed for any dine-in. We could do takeout, but people weren't leaving their houses. We were doing $150 at the most a day.
$150 a day, nobody's going to survive in a business. And this is a big space.
And I had to pay a cook.
Yeah, of course.
So most of that money went to the cook, and the other $50 went to buying more food. for the next day.
And this is a small community, so there's not a lot of traffic and infrastructure built for supplies and things like that, so everything has to be shipped in. I'm sure that's very expensive and gotten more expensive.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Eggs went up from $48 a box to $118.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yes.
Every place I go, people are saying, what the hell is going on with eggs?
Yeah, they're killing off the chickens. They're doing something. I don't know what it is they're doing.
It's a chicken conspiracy.
It is.
Do you mind if I ask you how much you were in arrears on your rent?
$36,000.
And how much was he willing to accept on a monthly basis for you to pay it back?
Well, I was paying $300 a month, and that wasn't good enough for him.
Yeah.
And I haven't been paid in years, just from COVID, because I was trying to pay. I couldn't pay my electric bill during that time. They've been fantastic.
The electric company?
The electric company has been fantastic. If I can't pay what is supposed to be on top of my bill every month, I just call them and say, okay, this month I just can't do it, or I can give you this much. And they've been really great and have never tried to shut me off. But, he just decided that he had enough, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, $36,000 is a significant amount.
It is.
$300, I don't think a bank would give you those kind of rates.
No.
They'd be charging you a lot more.
No.
It's hard. And the margins in a diner, as I'm discovering doing this show over and over, everywhere I go, anywhere across the country, margins are like 5%, 8%, really small anyway.
Yes. Well, in California, my minimum wage went up from $14 last year to $15.50 in January. $1.50 an hour they got a raise. And so that affects the bottom line.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking at your menu here. And your menu reflects the reality of what's going on, because you have something called the Mike Martin Special in honor of a longtime customer, one pancake and one piece of bacon, $8.39.
It's horrible, isn't it?
That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the cost.
Yes. It used to be $5.50.
You don't even get any eggs.
No.
Because if you had eggs, it'd be up to $25.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. But it is the reality of living in California.
Do you think it's the state that's kind of, been the problem for you here?
Part of it. Because, we've had to do other things here in the building that the state is now requiring. I had to redo my fire suppression system last year because it wasn't up to code of what the state just changed last year.
And what did that cost you?
$5,000.
$5,000. That would have been a nice chunk to pay back the 36 grand.
Exactly.
So you were just getting hit on all sides trying to make good on your late rent.
Last week my walk-in compressor went out.
How much is that?
$2,000.
Oh man.
So, and he knows all of this.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not trying to not pay you.
Right.
But it's in his right to do this. I don't fault him to a degree.
Are you resentful?
Sometimes, yeah.
Angry?
Sometimes. And then other times I'm like, oh, I don't have to deal with this anymore.
How long have you owned Majors?
17 and a half years.
How many owners have been here? The property's been, have you 62?
4.
4 owners.
Mm-hmm.
And
the original owner's last name was Major.
And what made you decide to buy this place?
My husband. He came in here every day for breakfast. My son worked here as a cook.
Is he the Mike Martin on the special?
No. He's not dead yet. But he came in here every day, and the owner told him, he goes, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to get out. I'm going to sell this. And he was an older man. Lost his wife while they owned this. And my husband came home and said, hey, they're selling the diner. I think we should buy it. I'm there every day anyway.
How much did you pay for it?
$100,000.
You bought this for $100,000?
Not the building.
Not the building.
Obviously, but yes.
Just the diner and the diner name.
And all the memorabilia and the goodwill and the name and the biscuits and gravy recipe.
Is that a big secret?
Yes, it is.
I know you say it's the best thing on the menu, our specialty. And, this is a reasonable price. Single orders, $6.49. Double orders, $9.29. That's not bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So the gravy is the secret
The
recipe.
gravy is the secret recipe.
So you're going out of business, unfortunately. Why don't you just spill the secret? Tell us what it is.
Nope.
Come on.
Because who knows what I'll do with it?
Would you consider maybe opening up a different place or opening up another diner somewhere else in town?
Possibly.
Possibly. And
When is this podcast airing?
I'm turning it around. It's going to air this week because I want to honor,
Okay.
the news aspect of this closure.
Okay.
I mean, it hurt. It kind of hurts when a place that's been around
Yes.
in one location
Yes.
in a small town like this for 62
Yes.
years goes under because of a financial hardship that was beyond your control.
It was. And that's
It's really heartbreaking.
That's what bothers me the most. Not to diss the owner because he's basically a good man, but he's got a lot of money.
So $36,000 isn't a lot to him.
It isn't. But the community is upset that he's taking this.
Hard
as
stand.
you can tell.
Yeah, the place is packed.
Oh, it's been packed all week. People coming to say goodbye, buying bits and pieces of the memorabilia.
You know how I found out about
No.
this? So I live in Pasadena near Los Angeles. One of my podcast listeners texted me. You got to this is on, I just saw this on the news. You got to go there. So we started chasing
Yeah.
you down. We finally got you on the
Yeah.
phone, and that's why we're here.
Wow.
Did anybody suggest a GoFundMe page?
We did have a GoFundMe early on. One of our customers said, "Oh, you should start a GoFundMe page." We got about $10,000.
That's significant.
It was, and so we were able to pay rent, pay a few bills that were past due, catch up with some things that were smaller, and pay him some.
Did you go to the owner and just simply say, look, you have lots of money. This isn't really a huge impact for you. Can you just work with me in some way?
He says, everybody thinks I'm rich because I own a lot of land. He owns a lot of land.
So maybe cash poor, but
And
land rich.
Exactly. That's what he
Okay.
says.
Yeah. I understand that.
Me too.
I mean, it's the COVID, it's the inflation, it's the cost of
Everything.
everything, and it's
And I think I'm tired too.
I can see that in your eyes. You look
It's hard to find employees up here. Good employees that don't drink, don't do drugs, don't.
well, I can't work here then. I love my margaritas, damn it. I'd come down here and help you, but
I'm a gin and tonic girl. Tanqueray only, though.
Okay, well, you got to have what you want. And you certainly have earned it. What's your emotional state of mind today? Now, tomorrow...
I'm crying a lot today because, everybody's coming in hugging me. And
What are they saying to you? What are they telling you
I'm
about...
sorry. That I can't believe that he's actually closing this.
Do you know what he's going to do with the property here?
He's going to put in another restaurant. I know he's talking to people already. If he goes with these people, it's going to be a hip cafe.
Trendy. California cuisine trendy.
Exactly.
I've only been to Pine Valley once. This is my first time here, but I can instantly tell close-knit community that just is not going to... They like what they like.
You're in Hickville.
You're in Hickville.
Yeah.
This-
we have a lot of...
This is like Green Acres out here.
We have a lot of, 30, 40-somethings that have moved up here because the houses are cheaper and they can buy up here. But it's still people that come here expect a certain type of food.
We are recording this podcast on Saturday, February the 4th. Tomorrow is your last day, February the 5th. What are you going to do when you close that door for the last time?
I'll probably stand in the middle of the diner and cry. It's been my baby for, 17 and a half years. You don't see my husband here, do you?
No. And he's the one that had the idea.
The man that talked me into buying this because he was here every day.
Where the hell is he right now?
Let's see, it's 10 to 10. He's probably in the shower.
He's not even down here helping you out.
No.
Are you filing for divorce?
No. No, we're high school sweethearts.
Okay. Do you feel like you failed in some way?
In some ways, yeah. Because I owe money. We have exhausted every means we have personally to pay it. We put out our own money during COVID to keep it alive and probably shouldn't have. Probably should have just closed it.
Tell me about the Mike Martin special. Who was Mike Martin Why does he get a special on the menu?
Mike Martin would come in every single day with a bunch of the guys in the morning, and he would come in every day and he would get one pancake and one piece of bacon. And he died a few years back, and this was to honor him. Because he was a very gentle man, very quiet.
Back in the day when he first started ordering that, what did you charge him for one pancake?
$2.85.
$2.85 for a pancake and a piece of bacon.
Yep.
And now it's $8.39.
Yes, and we sell a lot of them.
So you were selling absolutely everything on the walls, everything
Pretty
goes?
much everything. There are some things I'm keeping. I'm keeping the Buddy Holly poster. So,
how much do you want for the Gary Cooper High Noon movie poster?
$10, because it's got some tears in it, and it's a remake.
That's all right. I might buy that from you.
Okay. We have a Studebaker hanging on the wall in behind you. I don't know if you saw it when you came in.
Oh, yeah.
The lights work on it. It's a 1951 Studebaker Champion.
The front
Yes.
grill. Yeah.
Yes.
It's right above the kitchen.
Yes.
How much are you asking for that?
There's a bidding war on that right now.
What's the highest bid?
$2,000.
Not bad.
I've been offered $5,000 for it in previous years, but in those previous years, I didn't want to sell it.
So when you walk away and close the doors, are you still on the hook $36,000
Yes.
for this guy,
Yeah.
the owner?
Yes.
So liquidating all this will go to paying that
Yes.
down. Do you think you can actually pay him off by selling everything?
Not totally.
You've owned it for 17 years.
Uh-huh.
You've lived in this area for how long?
We moved up here in 1999.
What are some of the crazy stories that you can tell about being in this diner business that have happened here in the cafe?
So we found out after we purchased the restaurant that there had been a murder here in front of the front door of the restaurant.
A murder?
The second owners had a son who ran the restaurant. They didn't even live up here. And he was murdered, shot, and killed outside the front door. And the bank bag was taken. There's
my God.
speculation of other things that went on, drugs involved.
That he may have been in the drug world,
Exactly.
laundering money through the restaurant.
Who knows?
So it was a hit
Locked
job.
up.
He was whacked.
Something. Yeah. So, there's all kinds of speculation about
Wow.
what went on. And
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity
Oh,
to
thank
come
you.
down here and celebrate this through the podcast here. We have people listening all over the world.
oh, wow.
And it's amazing how many people in Europe and New Zealand, Australia, even in South America who just curious about American diner culture.
Well, we get a lot of people in here from Europe.
That's fantastic.
Last year we had a whole group from Russia in, Germany, France, all over Spain.
Did they like the biscuits and gravy?
Yes.
They loved it?
Yes.
Sehr gut.
And then they tell their friends about it and they come in, and that's not going to happen anymore. It's just sad.
Well, I wanted to honor you on our podcast. Thank you for being part of the 62-year history of Major's Coffee Shop. God bless you.
Thank you.
I hope you can find a place to open it up, another Major's,
We'll see.
and bring back the biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, I got to have those biscuits and gravy.
Well, and when you do, will you let me know?
I will.
And we'll come back down and we'll
I
do
will.
a podcast from the
Okay.
new location.
Even if it's just a little coffee shop.
Sure.
All right.
God bless you.
You too. Thank you.
So Debbie mentioned her husband earlier. His name is Larry, and good old Lair finally moseyed over to my table. All right, so the husband is now here, the man responsible for this whole mess. I understand from Debbie that you're the one that actually came back with the idea that you should buy a frickin' restaurant.
Yeah.
Were you kind of joking, or were you serious at the time?
No, I was serious, but I knew that she would take it as a joke. But as the hours passed on the day that I came home and told her, I told the previous owner, I said, we'll take it. I knew I had made a mistake with her on this instead of, talking to her first.
When you talked to the previous owner, did you agree to a price and
Oh, no. There was nothing really agreed to other than the fact he was sitting at the end of the counter here with his head down. And I had been coming in here forever. Every morning for breakfast, I knew everybody. Everybody knew who I was. He kept trying to sell it. Kept trying. And it would fall out of escrow. And the one day I walked in, he was sitting with his head down at the end of the counter. And I walked in and said, oh, no, No, really? Did somebody back out of this? Yeah. So I ordered my breakfast. I'm sitting there eating. I remember saying, John, I'm about to say something, and I'm serious. We'll take it. And he looked up at me and said, I'm not in the mood for jokes. And I said, neither am I.
And what moved you to do, what possessed you to do that in that moment? Some people would say it's like the spirit, it's something in a gut reaction. What do you think it was for you?
You know, with our faith being what it is, I just felt it was a nudge.
So you do have a faith.
Oh, yeah.
And so you felt like it was
we're very strong believers in God.
All right, so you felt it was like the Holy Spirit almost moved you to offer this man an opportunity to get out.
Yeah, getting into this where you're eyeball deep, you quickly learn that this is probably one of the toughest businesses you'll ever have. There is constantly somebody at the back door with their hand out saying that we have a new law, we have new regulations, you need to sign this, you need to fill out this paperwork. It just never stops.
Debbie shared with me that recent new state regulations concerning COVID and things like that, you had to invest in some piece of equipment that cost $5,000 or a compliance upgrade that cost $5,000, which precluded you from paying off the $36,000 that you still owed on the rent.
Right.
And it just like sunk you.
Right. They had closed everybody down.
Right.
We were doing just the in and out.
The takeout.
Takeout stuff. Then they decided at some point that they were going to open us back up outdoors only.
This town, Pine Valley, is actually in San Diego County, California.
Yes.
So you have to adhere to the county laws.
So they put us back outside, and we had quite a few people coming in at that point. And then they decided, well, we can open up the inside, but you still have to go with all the mandates as far as the masking and the social distancing, all that kind of stuff. We opened it back up. And then the county, in all its wisdom, decided that things are starting to heat back up here. We need to...
More COVID cases.
Yeah.
More infections.
We need to start putting people back outside now. Channel 10 was here. They wanted me to do an interview. So we went outside, we're doing the interview, and during this interview, I'm going to say something that I know is probably going to get me in a whole bunch of trouble, but I looked straight at the camera and said, I am not closing. Come get me.
You drew a line in the sand.
I did. I had it. We were just getting hammered up to that point by everything else that was going on. It's like, I can't take this anymore, and if you want to come take the place, I'll leave the keys on the end of the counter. It's all yours. Have fun. That night, a lady across the street called me and said, there is what looks like a county truck that's driving around your place, and I see him getting out right now, and he's walking around shining a light because we're closed at night. So I said, okay, I'm on my way back up now. I'll stop by and find out what's going on. By the time I got here, he had left, but it was a sheriff, and he had left a cease and desist order on the door. The next morning, I called the county. He picked the phone up and said, look, we're just doing our jobs. I said, I appreciate that, but I want to point out something to you that if I know this, I know you know this. There was nobody in the building. You putting a cease and desist order on my door is basically giving me a ticket to appear. There was nobody in the building. You can't write a ticket like that or put something on a doorway when there's nobody. You did not see any infraction whatsoever.
That's right. Nobody was here.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Can you do us a favor? I said, what's that? Now you want to ask me a favor. Stay off TV. I said, okay, I think I can do that. But what's that going to do for me? I just took you out of the system.
Oh, so they deleted the ticket.
Yeah. And he knew all the sheriffs were coming in here to eat because the sheriff's station's right down the street.
Of course.
So it's like he's been told by his boss that you guys are going to support the county in whatever they need to do to keep the health of this county safe. And all the sheriffs at that point were all saying, we don't want any part of this.
Right.
We all live in this community, And you're asking us to turn on this community and the goodwill that we put together in this community over the years. It's all going to go in the toilet in about a day and a half. That's just stupid. So
amazing.
After that, from the next day forward, we never saw anybody.
Nobody else.
Nobody came in wanting, why are you open? You should be closed. No, everybody just came in and ate.
Fantastic.
Including the sheriffs.
So you were able to beat the system in a way.
I think I beat City Hall.
So Debbie was telling me that this was all your idea, but she was stuck running this place for 17 years. What the hell do you do?
I am a audio engineer, and I tour for a living doing sound for national acts.
Music acts?
Yeah, music acts.
Name some acts that you've worked with.
Right now, I'm with a jazz artist by the name of Michael Franks.
I've heard of him.
Separately, not together, but I've done things with Kenny Loggins, Jim Messina, Harvey Korman, Tim Conway.
How are you feeling today? I was talking to your wife, Debbie. She's very obviously emotional because it's her baby. She's been taking care of it for 17 years, trying to do the hard work of the balancing the budget, making the payments, hiring the staff, getting the food. You're somewhat removed, but how do you feel? How do you feel about losing it and seeing the doors close?
When we got the notice that he was giving up the lease on us, I felt, at first I was really sad, kind of angry, but then I felt God tell me, this is your off-ramp. Take it and know that everything's going to be okay.
You know, that takes a lot of courage to have that faith to the point where you're facing a loss. I'm sure there'll be a grieving period, but to be an acceptance that this is what the plan is for me. Maybe not celebrate it because it's kind of sad and it's a loss, but just be an acceptance that, okay, I'm going to make a change in my life and this is how that change is going to happen.
And relax with it. And we learned this years ago. We had what a parent would have as probably the worst thing that could ever happen to him. We lost a 15-year-old son.
Oh, my gosh.
He was killed by a drunk driver. That's where I felt that I really grew from, because the odds were against us that we were going to be divorced in a very short period of time.
Yes.
With the way this all works, the blame game.
Yes.
But there was never any blame. There was nothing to blame anybody for. He was doing what he had been doing for years, walking down to a 7-Eleven and coming back. 15 years old, him and his best friend. Car jumped the curb, killed him. I attribute where I am today over the grieving process of going through that, and know that without a doubt, God got us through that. And we're still together. We have an undying love for each other. And no matter what happens, it's going to be okay.
How did you get through that?
A lot of prayer. A lot of people from the church that we were members of all gathered around us and just hung with us the whole time. They made sure that they were going to get us through this. Having had 4 boys, we were now down to 3. You had to learn real quick that as parents, you had to hold it together for them.
Yes.
Because they crashed and burned. They had their moments of doing things that we never imagined that they would be doing. Getting into the drugs and the alcohol at such a young age, because they were all teenagers. Except for our oldest, bless him, he's been in and out of programs, but he's getting better and he's coming back. But he was out of the 4 boys, he was kind of always like me, the optimistic guy. And as things got worse and worse and worse to the point that where he's at in his life right now, he was at rock bottom. We had to kick him out. He was no longer allowed at the house.
Yep. And as a parent, you have to do that. You have to set boundaries.
Yeah. We're relying on God, and God's going to get us through it.
I know the loss of a restaurant can never compare to the loss of a child, but at least because of that earlier experience, you have the strength and the foundation now to accept this loss as part of life.
Yeah.
And move on. And do something different.
Yeah.
Death is part of life.
Yes, it is.
And we can't let it crush us because we still have a life to live. We're still here.
Right.
And we still have to keep going. And I pray that people find their relationship with something bigger than themselves and a community to help them cope and grieve. Doing it alone is impossible. I don't know how people do it.
Absolutely.
I don't know how people do it, but God bless you, and thank you for being on Across the Dinerverse.
That's right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How do you even follow Larry's story. Well, it turns out two of Larry and Debbie's regular customers who showed up to support Majors before it closed have a very close connection to what Larry was just talking about: grief, loss, and healing through therapy. What is your name, sir?
Andrew Strother.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you today?
Good. Do you live here in Pine Valley?
We do.
All right, so this is an unincorporated community. Tell me about Pine Valley. What is it all about?
It's a small community that's going to stay small because it's surrounded by national forest. Everybody knows everybody. We're friendly. We don't lock our doors.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and our horses run around in our front yard, so you can't live better than that.
How many people live in Pine Valley?
What is it, 1,500 now? Yeah.
Okay, 1,500. I think it's amazing that a diner like this has existed and survived for 60 years. Do you love the biscuits and gravy? Because it says here it's their
Doesn't
serious.
everybody?
I don't. I'm not a big biscuits and gravy guy, so I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I've never been one. I love the pancakes. You know,
Yeah.
I love my bacon and eggs, but the biscuits and gravy, it's the gravy thing. I don't know why. I just can't get past. I think because my mother made me eat her gravy when I was a kid, and it's like a post-traumatic stress thing.
Oh, my.
It's just a gravy.
Moms can ruin it.
Yeah, moms can ruin a lot of stuff. You know,
Well,
for
we're
sure.
in therapy, so if you need anything, you just
Tell me,
you need help with that.
Tell me about your business, Equine Therapy, and why is that vitally important?
Counseling with people using horses as part of the treatment team. Yeah, there's no riding involved. It's all done on the ground. And we work with people with anxiety, depression, just want to change some life goals, things like that. And
What is that magic quality that a horse has that connects to people that just makes them feel good? Let me just say, there's nothing more beautiful to me than seeing a horse run. Watching a
everybody loves
horse
it.
run is just magical.
Yeah, horses have the ability to live in the present. They're not worried about yesterday. They're not worried about tomorrow. They live in the present. They're able to sense your feelings better than you are. If you walk into the round pen and say, yeah, I'm feeling fine, but you're nervous, the horse will sense it. They can hear your heartbeat from 4 feet away. And so they know
Is
if you're
that
nervous,
right?
if you're upset.
That's amazing. I had no idea horses had that capacity.
Very powerful, very powerful.
How did science start to discover this?
I'm part of what they call EGALA, which is Equine Assisted Growth and Learning Association. They've been around for many, many years, and it's a nonprofit. We have a nonprofit organization called Heart and Soul, and the horses have always had this innate ability. You've heard that, like when you go riding, if you're nervous, the horse knows you're nervous. They do. And they started using them on the ground to treat people with depression, people with anxiety, people with drug and alcohol addiction. Horses will call you out on your stuff.
A horse will call bullshit on you.
Exactly. Horses don't lie. They will call you on your stuff.
How long does it take a horse to change a person and their life totally pivots? Like if somebody suffers from high anxiety, lots of clinical depression.
We usually see some results the first day, but depending on their case, usually the first day they'll come in, they might be nervous, they might be anxious, and after 2 or 3 times they kind of realize, oh, well, last week when I came in I was all scared and nervous and this horse wouldn't come see me, and today I'm more relaxed and they came up to see me. And we use kind of a metaphorical, so if they ever ask, why did the horse do that? Well, it's like, what do you think? Why did the horse ignore me last week? What do you think? And and that's where people start projecting their feeling on the horses. That one reminds me of my dad because he's mean to everybody else.
That's interesting as hell. I know people who've been in therapy for 20 years. They have a regular therapist. Do people have long-term therapy care with your horses where they come once a week, twice a week for years?
You get answers a lot quicker with horses than you do with talk therapy. People tend to project their feelings out onto the horse. We had a young lady that came out and did 3 sessions with her. When she left, her dad says, I had the best conversation with her I've had in years. Animals listen.
Do your horses take insurance?
No, they don't, actually. We are a nonprofit, so we just basically work on donation.
What led you to this path? What led you this way? Were you yourself healed by a horse in a relationship with horses?
I've been a counselor for many, many years, and I've always loved psychology and animals. And a friend of mine told me about this Igala method, and I thought it just married the two things that I love the most. And I went to a conference on it, and I was sold. And I've seen my horses do miraculous things when, with people that are just hurting and in pain.
So when you have a therapy session, how does that work? What transpires? How long is it 45 minutes, 50 minutes, like a typical therapy session? Yeah. What is it?
It can last as long as you need it to. We don't really put time limits on it because sometimes you'll be out there in a half hour and you're done. Sometimes it'll be an hour and a half. I usually give people a journal afterwards to write down what did I learn from the horse today. It's amazing some of the things. I've had kids, I'm working with a young lady that's 12 years old right now that loves it. I see her probably every other week. We're doing actually the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens right now. And she's learned, how to be assertive.
And how does the horse communicate that to the how does the person discover that within themselves by being around the horse? Again, what does the horse project onto the person where they can learn something?
We may set up a goal and say, okay, we need you to get this horse from A to B and get over there. And the horse may stop along the way. And why the horse stop? Well, that's because I have a hard time getting to my goal. Or, it's they project what the horse does. And, it's really amazing to watch. It's kind of an experiential type thing. You have to see it to understand it. But once you're there, it's beautiful.
Is it becoming more accepted in the therapy community?
It is evidence-based. Yes, absolutely. A lot of the people in the Igala Association, most of them are actually therapists, mental health workers, substance abuse workers, that sort of thing. I myself was a clinical director for 17 years. We started looking at this, and I trained counselors and tried to teach them trauma-informed care. I tried to teach crisis intervention. I tried to teach motivational interviewing, the different things that would help bring out what's inside the inner giftedness in each individual. And most therapists kind of put themselves up here where the client is down here, and they try and control the situation. Whereas in our therapies, the person is in control of themselves and they can just use the horse. I mean, if I could train my counselors as easily as the horses do naturally, then I would have been very successful. But I spent most of my professional career cleaning up messes that people cause because they had that sort of do it because I said so attitude. The horse is very social as an animal. It is very sensitive because it's prey, to be quite frank, but it is a person-centered, experiential kind of treatment that brings big results. And I think it was Woodrow Wilson that once said, there's something about the outside of a horse that can change the inside of a man.
That's beautiful.
I know it is, but you would have to know horses to really understand how that works. It's a hard thing to sell. Because people who don't know horses can't imagine where the horse is being the therapist.
I know people who are absolutely terrified of horses just because of the sheer size and the strength of them, and they're very intimidated by them. And I'm sure, as you said, the horse picks that up immediately, and if it's a horse with a personality, it'll play that out and just go mess with the people, don't they?
Yeah, we also have a mini horse and a mini donkey.
Ah, good.
And the mini donkey is like our little mascot. He comes up to everybody, and so he kind of breaks the ice, and he will follow you around and rest his head on your shoulder, and he kind of gets everybody calmed down. And then as the session goes on, other horses will come up and be friendly. We have horses in various stages of training. They're not trained to do this at all. What they do is all natural. There's no halters, there's no lead ropes, no saddles, bridles, any of that stuff. You're just out in an arena with a horse. We also tell them that, yes, the horses have names, but no, we're not going to tell you what they are. You get to name them to make it a little bit more personal. And that way they can, I want to name this one Spirit or Blackie, or we had one young man that named our little donkey Prozac because it helped him. It helped him with his depression. So, that pretty much says it all right there.
What is the age range of your clients?
As young as 6 up to 96.
That's heartbreaking that a 6-year-old needs that kind of therapy. Why? And not without naming names, obviously. What is this 6-year-old experiencing?
Oddly enough, there's a lot of anxiety going on right now. Being a kid.
Yeah.
Also I'm going to be working with the Southern Indian Health Council on bullying. There's a lot of bullying going on, so I have like an 8-week program I do on bullying.
I think we're going to see more and more of this anxiety, depression coming up in kids who were locked down for a long period of time and disassociated, disconnected from family and friends and activities and forced to stay in their house.
Yeah.
And just dealing with their own head. You can't do that when you're just a kid. What do you know?
Yeah. And it's nice because, we do it out of our house so that they're able to come up and we do have an animal rescue. We have goats and cats and dogs, and sometimes the dog gets involved and the cats come out there, and, so everybody gets involved, and it's just nice for them to experience nature.
I think that show, The Dog Whisperer, with Cesar Millan, really kind of blew open the doors of just people finally grasping and understanding that animals really reflect what people are going through.
Exactly.
And the dog's not the problem, the owner is the problem.
Exactly.
And I think you're doing that with your horses, but through a therapeutic method of you're discovering what is really bothering people, and the horse can reveal that.
Yeah.
Are you considering other animals like giraffes?
I would love to get a zebra, but unfortunately I don't see that in the future.
Yeah. Boy, zebras are fascinating, aren't they?
I don't know
beautiful.
why. I would love to get one.
Yeah. If a horse turns around his backside to a person, does that tell you that this person is a horse's ass? And you have a lot of work to do?
Not necessarily. We let them try it. What does that mean to you? And it's like, oh, well, it means that sometimes they'll say, well, it's because I'm being an ass. We do one that's herd dynamics, and we'll have all 5 of them out together, and it's like, okay, I ask them, which one reminds me of your mom? Which one reminds me of your dad? And it tells me a lot about them.
That's interesting. You get specific about it.
Yeah, and which one reminds me of you? Which one do you want to be more like? And it tells me a lot about them. Well, I'm like this one over there. Why is that? Well, because he stays to himself all the time.
Thank you so much for coming down and supporting Majors and being part of this Across the Dynaverse podcast. And thanks for sharing the equine therapy. I had no idea how important this work is and how helpful and beneficial it is. I applaud you for your work and your efforts. That's fantastic.
No problem. We love it. That's why we do it.
A huge thank you to Andrew and Jay Strother at Heart and Soul Equine Assisted Counseling in Pine Valley, California. And if you'd like to learn more about what they do, just visit heartandsoulequinetherapy.org, and that is heart, the letter N, soul, heart and soul, equinetherapy.org. Debbie, I thank you for coming back. I have an idea.
Okay.
I know you're going through a tough time, and you're emotionally upset.
Drained.
Right? You're drained and upset, sad, maybe a little depressed.
Yep.
I think you should go see those horse therapy people. I will pay for a couple of sessions for you with a horse. You can lay down on a couch out there in the corral, and the horse, and you can have some
talk to the horse.
Talk to the horse.
Tell him all my problems.
That's exactly right.
I love horses.
And the horse will give you some therapeutic healing so you can get over
There we
this.
go. I never thought of that. I'll call them this afternoon.
Good. Good.
You've done your part.
Thank you. All right, that wraps up another episode of Across the Dynaverse. A big thank you to Debbie and Larry from Major's Coffee Shop. And thank you from everyone in Pine Valley for being such a vital part of the community for so many years. I hope you find a way to bring the biscuits and gravy back. Let me know and we'll come down and do another show from your new location, I promise. Theme music by Keith Brock and the Kings Who Rock. Keep on rocking, boys, and Across the Dynaverse, always searching for the heart and soul of America, one diner at a time. I'm John Murphy. What's your story?